Let's make some shoes. Welcome back to another episode of Making Fun. Today, it's all about shoes. Now, you may be wondering, why would anybody waste their time, money, and effort on making something that we could simply just go out and buy? But when your brain hooks on something, when you've got a creative idea that you feel needs to manifest, I think that we should listen to that creative idea, feed it, and really explore the ideas that are emerging in our brain. Our creativity is not something that we can dominate over, that we can control. It's something that we have to invite. It's something that we have to nurture, and we can invite and nurture our creative process by listening to the creative process. And the more we listen to it, the more it will grow, and the more ideas that'll come to us. I began with these cork sheets that you can pick up from an office supply store. I put down one of my sandals and I traced down the outline of the sandal onto the cork and then cut it out with a pair of scissors. Using 2 pieces of this cork and some contact cement, I glued them together to make the base of the shoe. I learned pretty quickly to put down some paper towels so that I don't glue my shoe to the cardboard. All right, let's give these a try. I think they're a little big. I don't understand. I traced a pair of my slippers. That is too big.
That is too big.
All right. Well, at least it's not too small.
At least it's not too small.
All right. Found a shoe that I think fits a little better. So I lay down a template on top of the cork and trace out the shape of the shoe. Then I put all 4 pieces together using a little bit of duct tape and take it over to the bandsaw. And this way I can be assured that the 2 right and left pieces will match. Oh, they're too narrow. I think they'll be all right. So for the material of the shoe, I picked up this fabric at Joann's. It's faux suede, and one side of it is a shiny side, and one side of it is a rougher side. For the pad of the shoe, I am covering some high-density EVA foam with the faux suede. Cutting around the silhouette of my shoe, leaving myself a 1/2-inch seam allowance that I can use to glue the faux suede to the EVA foam. In order for me to properly fold the seam allowance onto the EVA foam, I needed to cut little darts around the curved portions so that when I fold over the suede, it doesn't buckle. The second reason why this is a valuable enterprise is that you never know how you're going to use the skills that you learn along the way for some later project. What I find really fascinating about this part is that the techniques that I use to make these shoes are the exact same techniques that I used to make the tiny chair in the Sherlock Holmes diorama. And I think this really speaks to the creative process overall, because at no point during the Sherlock Holmes diorama was I thinking, how am I going to use this in the future? But here I was, not but a month later, using the exact same techniques. But now I can really see how one project leads to the creativity of the next project, to the creativity of the next project. So where will all of the skills that I learned in shoemaking end up? I have no idea, but that's part of the beauty and the brilliance of the creative process. To make the buckles, I started by making myself a pattern. I stood on the cork and laid duct tape over my foot where I wanted the buckles to go. After that, I drew in the buckle location and the portion that I wanted to remove using a Sharpie. After having a difficult time removing my foot from the shoe and then my sock, I was then able to return to my workstation, mark where the edges of the pattern were going to meet underneath the cork, and I could begin cutting out my pattern. I backed up my pattern by adding duct tape to the inside so that my pattern wouldn't stick to everything I put it on. I lost the footage of me assembling the prototype pattern, but I did have the footage of me disassembling it, so here you're getting to see the disassemble process in reverse. I did practice to make sure that my buckles were going to fit on my pattern before I cut them out of my suede. When I completed the duct tape prototype assembly, I then put it back on the shoe to make sure that it was going to fit. Satisfied with the result, I took everything apart. And then I labeled where everything goes so I didn't get confused. I figured that the suede on its own was not going to be strong enough for the buckle assembly, so I used some canvas that I had as an interface. This made the whole thing more robust, and I think that as a result it'll last longer as a product as well. Then with all of my parts lined up and incorrectly labeled, I might add, I am ready for the next portion. I found some extremely high density EVA foam at the local craft store, and I'm using this as the sole of my shoe. With buckles glued in place, I am ready to start the final assembly. I'm taping this paper down to the shoe to protect the suede so that I don't get any glue or any other foreign material on it when I'm doing my final gluing process. Then with some contact cement, I come in and paint both sides, allow a few minutes to dry, and then put the pieces together. And then finally, with my state-of-the-art clamping system, I apply some weight to it to keep the pieces together while they dry. For the next layer, I am putting on the buckle assembly. This is the portion of the buckle that will go between the cork and the sole of the shoe. And one more final round of gluing to attach the sole of the shoe to the bottom of the cork.
Rolling.
Right, so these have been sitting out clamped overnight, so the sole is nicely fixed to the cork. Now I just need to pull off my protective paper here and see how this worked out. I'm hoping when I pull this off, I don't have any residue from the purple tape that I put down, the masking tape. So we've had a debate as to whether to do this socks or no socks. Tell us in the comments what you hate more, seeing people's feet or seeing sandals and socks. I'm going sandals and socks, but at least it's crazy socks. Here we go. Could have made these longer. I thought they were too long as it was. Actually, they're just about perfect. Am I allowed to say holy crap?
Yeah. Yeah, we're allowed that. Dude, turn it that way a little bit, there's a lot of shadow.
Yeah.
Dude, they're freaking shoes.
They're freaking shoes. They're staying on comfortably. They feel comfortable.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they're... I guess that's it. I made shoes. All right, I am officially ready for summer. And third, and I think most importantly, when we build something like shoes from scratch, you're never gonna look at shoes the same way again. I feel like I have a better understanding of the world around me when I explore how things are made and try to make them myself. So much of our life, we are surrounded by these objects that human beings have created. These objects are so ubiquitous, we think of them as the norm. But in reality, they're not the norm. They are something that we have created. But just as an apple tree produces apples, human beings make shoes. Human beings make tiny dioramas. Human beings make buildings. When we understand the things that we have created around us, we start to see them and we start to see ourselves in a different way. Thank you for joining me on this episode. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram at make.your.own.fun, or you can follow us on TikTok now at Making Fun Shop. If you're interested in supporting us, you can check us out on Patreon.
By the way, avocado socks.
Avocado socks. Take that, Wiki Feet. All right. Shoes. Oh my God, shoes. Let's make some shoes. Now what?
I don't know.
I think I'm gonna press these.
You're the cobbler, not me.
These things are so slaps.
They're so slaps.
There's your cat.
Yeah, no, I saw it.
All right.
Where are you going?